Hey guys, so it's been a while and I'm in a different location because I have moved house. So I think I mentioned like weeks and weeks ago when I did my last video, I think it was maybe only about 4 weeks ago, maybe longer, but I filmed it a couple of weeks before that, so it's been like 6 to 8 weeks since I filmed, which is a long time, so I'm a bit out of the swing of things, so I'm going to try and not be super awkward. So anyway, I think I mentioned that we were going through the process of buying our first house. So Johnny and I have lived together for, oh god, I don't even know, 7 years, but we rented a small terrace house back in Lowestoft where we're from, and then we rented a flat in Norwich for 5.5 years. And this year we decided we would try and buy our own house, and we always knew it was going to be, you know, either sort of in sort of an inconvenient location to us or a convenient location but needed a lot of work, because basically we couldn't afford both those things, right? And so we viewed a few houses earlier in the year and we decided to go with the location we liked but needs loads of work. So yeah, we got the keys to the house on, I think it was like the 7th of September, and then we had 4 weeks where we just had people in constantly doing work. We've had the floor sanded, we've had the walls plastered, we've had a new boiler put in, we've had the whole bathroom ripped out and replaced, we've had electricians in. Have we had anything else? I don't know, but there's been points, I think in our minds, you know, this is all very, you know, naive, right? In our minds we were like, we've got 4 weeks crossover where we're going to live in our flat, but we're going to have the keys to the house and we're going to get everything done. And not only are we going to get all this stuff done, but we're also going to have time to decorate, and when we move in it's just going to be this perfect home. And actually, as it turns out, you know, people are delayed, the workers don't start when they say they will, they take longer than they say they will, they have an awful lot of stuff with them, they make a massive mess, especially plastering, there's a lot of dust, and the water's turned off, there's no toilet when the bathroom's being worked on. And so really, Johnny and I ended up feeling like if we ever came here to try and do anything, we were just in people's way. So we moved in on Friday the 4th of October, so we've been here just over a week now, and yeah, we've not decorated at all. So this is our bedroom. We have our furniture in it, but it's like not been painted. So this house was rented out for years, and my guess is like however he was renting it wasn't entirely above board, because there's loads of like stuff that's a bit against regulation in terms of like, if you're not renting it, it's fine, but if you are renting in the UK, there's certain things you have to do, like electrical safety checks and smoke alarms, and those things just aren't compliant. So yeah, and we have a really leaky roof, and so we lived here for 2 days and there was the worst rain ever. We don't get the rain like that in the UK, and so our roof started leaking in 2 places. It was just a bit of a joke really. It was all quite stressful. Obviously the cats, we were really worried about the cats when we had to bring them here because they've only ever lived in our flat, and we felt awful. They've settled in quite well now. Luna more than Albus, because she's just always been a lot braver and he's a bit more timid, but they're getting there. They're both in here, sleeping over there at the moment. So yeah, so we're getting there, but we haven't decorated, so everywhere just looks a bit grubby because it's really old paint and there's just scuff marks all over the walls from the builders and stuff. But we're in and we're trying to just sort of take a breather. So I hadn't read in a long time, like I hadn't read for weeks, and then on Sunday when we'd been in for 2 days and there was the rain, and we both just felt like we'd hit this wall of peak stress. Like we hadn't really felt stressed, but then we just felt like we hit this wall of it being really stressful. We both decided, the rain stopped and the roof stopped leaking after like 40 minutes, and we're trying to get a roofer in, but trying to get a roof booked in is a nightmare. And we both decided to just take a chill and just do something that wasn't stressful. So this video is just going to be a random hodgepodge of things because yeah, I've not thought this through at all. So on Sunday I bought myself a couple of books sort of 2 or 3 weeks ago. We had all this stress going on with the house, and I thought to myself, do you know what, even though I'm not reading, there's 2 books I'm really excited about. I've seen them in Waterstones, I just want to go in and buy them for myself, just so I know they're there when I do want to read them. Those 2 books are, so the first one I haven't read, this is Inland by Téa Obreht. This is one of my most anticipated releases of the year. I loved The Tiger's Wife by her, and it's an odd one to say I love now because I read it quite a few years ago and I adored it, but I don't know if I'd love it as much now, because at the time I read lots of sort of fabulous fiction, lots of weird stuff, and I was okay with not connecting to characters and loving a book for how odd it was and how beautifully written it was and like the description. And now I'm not as okay with that. I really need to buy into the characters. But I love the sound of this, and I enjoyed The Tiger's Wife enough and have, you know, fond memories of it enough to want to read her next book. So I picked this up, and I'm definitely going to try and get to this one this month. I wanted something a bit more familiar and comfortable to pick up when I was having this stressful time. So instead I picked up this other book I treated myself to a couple of weeks ago, which is Expectation by Anna Hope. So I haven't read any of her previous novels. I think her 2 previous books have both been historical fiction, and this is a sort of contemporary novel about 3 female friends who live in and around London, and it jumps through the years and you see their friendship sort of out of order in different years as to how they've got to where they are. I guess it's fairly plotless, like a few things happen, but it's not, it's one of those novels you could tell someone the whole story and it wouldn't really take away from the reading experience, and I just really enjoyed it. And this is exactly what I wanted. I wanted something that felt familiar, you know, really well written. I really bought into the characters. It's from 3 different perspectives, and they all lead really different lives. So they're all mid-30s for the majority of the novel that you're following them. And one of them is really focused on her career. She's always wanted to be an actor, and she keeps going to auditions and failing. And one of them is really successful, and she's married, and she's been trying for a child for a couple of years, and it hasn't been working, and it's really put a toll on her relationship and also just her mental health and well-being. And then the third woman met a man and very quickly fell pregnant and married him, and has moved down to Canterbury and has sort of turned around and thought, what the hell have I done with my life? And so all 3 of them really have the lives the other want. You know, one of them has the career that the other one wants, one of them has the family that the other one wants, and the other one has the sort of freedom and the relationship that the other one wants. So and it's beautiful because they're quite cruel to one another at points, as well as very kind at other points, and you can always sympathise and understand why one is treating the other the way they are. So yeah, I really recommend it. I really enjoyed it, and yeah, it was really nice to just pick up a book again after not reading for ages and it be like a really good book. So I definitely recommend that one. And then I finished that, I think like the day before yesterday. I don't know what that is. My house makes lots of noises now because our flat was like a new build, and obviously this place isn't. I think it was built in like 1912, and we've got the floorboards, so things like creak, and also there's just loads of things you don't think of, like, so we've had all the carpets lifted up and all the floorboards stripped because we love original floorboards, but we didn't consider the fact that when you have 2 cats who are crazy, they make a lot of noise on the floorboards. So the cats do something we call zoomies, which is where, and they usually do it at night when we're trying to sleep, they will get the zoomies, we call it, which is where they just start running ridiculously fast. They'll, like, anything they charge into they'll knock over. Like, they'll say that you'll hear their water bowl just like ricochet across all the cupboards. You'll know you're going to go down in the morning, there'll be water everywhere. Same with their food bowl. They'll barge into one another and like really kick off at one another. They'll barge into doors and walls. It's just mental. And obviously before, they'd do it on the carpet and the carpet would sort of slow them down. Well, now there's polished floorboards, so it doesn't slow them down, it speeds them up, and they keep skidding across and you can hear their claws going across the floorboards, and it's really, really loud. And we sort of, we didn't really consider it, so yeah, maybe we would have not had quite so many floorboards. We love them, but we're just gonna have to have a few more rugs sporadically placed to try and soften the noise. I mean, not just for us, like, it's a small Victorian mid-terrace, so we're used to being really noisy, shouty people. Like, we're very strong on shouting-free rooms, and obviously we don't do that anymore because we're aware that our neighbours will hate us. So yeah, so what else was I going to say? The book I'm reading at the moment, I treated myself to this a couple of days ago because I'd seen that it came out, and it was one of my most anticipated books of the year, like in like my top 3. And I heard the Waterstones had like this exclusive edition, and that is The Dutch House by Anne Patchett. So Waterstones have an edition where like these bits, cat fluff, are blue, but then these bits follow the pattern on the back. So I thought that was quite nifty, and I had £10 on my Waterstones card, so I only actually had to pay like £7 for this in the end, which is pretty good. So I am pretty much halfway through, and I've been reading it for a couple of days, and I'm not loving it, which is a real shame. At the moment, I feel like for the first like 100 pages, I'd have said it was 4-star, and now I'm on page like 180. I feel like at the moment I'm enjoying it at 3-star level. That sounds really horrible, but yeah, so what this is about, it is mainly set, I'm really bad with like the time period, I think it's set like 1970s. You follow these siblings through quite a lot of years, so it's sort of, like, I'm finding it difficult to place what year we're in at all points, but the premise is they grew up in a house called the Dutch House, which was built by 2 Dutch people, and the house is in Pennsylvania, and it really stands out, like architecturally, design wise, it's insane. Ridiculous amount of money was spent on it, and everything's really specific, and almost the way it's described is like, it's so extravagant, it's almost vulgar. And they grew up in this house, and you know from the start they no longer live in this house, and you don't quite know why, but right at the start, when they're like 10 and 17, this new woman, Andrea, starts to come around the house quite often to see their father. So you can sort of see the way this is going to go. Now, the novel is told from the young brother's perspective, Danny, and this woman on the cover is his sister, Maeve. So he adores Maeve because his mother left when he was very young, his father's really distant, so Maeve sort of raised him really. So it's quite a beautiful novel in the way it portrays the sort of brother-sister relationship. But I think, and what I love about Anne Patchett's writing, I think I've said this before, is it's intensely readable. It's so easy to just get pulled in and just keep going, just another chapter, another chapter. It's easy, but yet brilliant. And I think that's difficult to do. But I think what I'm struggling with, and this is something that's maybe particular to me, and so it isn't necessarily a critique of the novel, I'm not very good with passive main characters. I say this loving Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier, which has one of the most passive main characters ever. And you're infuriated with her for her passiveness, so that's part of the novel. With this, he's really passive. He keeps talking about all the things he should have done, he should have asked, he should have realised, and I'm just finding it a little bit frustrating. I can't really see where the novel's going. Again, it's quite plotless. I feel like I could tell you everything that happened so far and it wouldn't really be a spoiler. I'm not going to. But yeah, and I don't mind the plotlessness, but I think I mind the passiveness. So yeah, I'm going to carry on. It's Sunday now, I don't even know what the time is, it's probably like 3:30, 4 o'clock. So I'm going to read some more tonight. I wanted to try and finish it today, but I don't know if I will. I'll probably end up reading this into tomorrow. So there's that. And then I thought I'd just have a little sort of general other non-bookishy chat. So as I said, this week we moved into the house and we've just spent a lot of time trying to relax a little bit. We've built lots of furniture and we've just been trying to settle the cats in. We thought it would be really unfair to them to move in and then to get them comfortable in one room, and this is the room they're sort of quite comfortable in. Our bathroom comes off our bedroom, and so these are the 2 rooms they're really, you know, happy in. And actually right now we have our dining room, which is off the kitchen. If you live in the UK and you've been in any small Victorian terrace, you know exactly what I'm describing, but if you don't, you're probably like, what on earth? So like small Victorian terraces in the UK, you walk straight in the living room, there's no hallway. And then off the living room there's a tiny little bit of hallway, which is where the stairs go up, and then you walk straight through that into the dining room and straight through that into the kitchen. So there's just no hallways, do not exist in these houses. So anyway, we've got the dining room as our living room at the moment because we've got just boxes and stuff going on in the front room, and the cats don't like being in there very much because our boiler makes clicking noises as the heat changes. It's quite quiet, but to them it's really loud because they're not used to it, because our boiler used to be hidden away in a cupboard. And so they come in the dining room and they're like starting to chill out and, you know, relax, and then all of a sudden the boiler will click and they'll just be like absolutely petrified. It's like that moment in Home Alone when he's in the basement and the furnace comes on. That's what they look like. So yeah, so anyway, so they hide out in here a lot, and they'll come downstairs for a while, Luna especially, and, you know, be stroked and all this stuff, but they're not, we wouldn't want to shut them out of this room, which means we can't decorate in here yet because we just want to let them settle. Which maybe sounds a bit like precious and like we're spoiling them, but yeah, we pretty much let our lives be dictated to by our cats, which is good. So what else did I want to mention? I thought I would mention, oh, so we binge watched some TV this week. We haven't been doing that. Well, we've been rewatching The OC for the last 6 weeks because it was just easy, and actually it's hilariously bad. I watched The OC when I was a teenager, and then like at university, Johnny and I watched it together. And when you rewatch it, you're just like, each episode is insane how fast paced it is, and also I don't really understand why any of them are in relationships or friends, because they don't actually seem to properly talk about anything with one another. Very odd. So anyway, I've been rewatching that, which has been a bit trashy, but whatever. So this week we decided to try and actually watch some good TV. So we watched the new Netflix series Unbelievable, which we really enjoyed. I think a lot of you will have heard of it. It's based on the true case. I think it's inspired by the non-fiction book that came out I think last year called A False Report, which I did get out of the library, and I had mixed reviews about the fact that it was written by 2 male reporters. If you haven't heard, the case was a case where and this is quite triggering about sexual assault. So a young woman was raped and she reported to the police, and then they basically told her that they thought her story had inconsistencies. Her story, and in the end she admitted that she'd made a false report, and she retracted her statement and said that she'd made it all up. And then several years later, 2 female detectives get involved in looking into a serial rapist in the area, and the cases are linked, and you follow that story. And I thought it was a really well done series, so we really enjoyed that. So if you've been thinking about watching it, I'd recommend it. Obviously it's not an easy watch, there's parts that are quite horrible, but it's really good, and the acting is just brilliant, especially the lead actress, whose name I don't know, but yeah, I'll put her name here. She was really, really good. And then we'd watched the first episode of When They See Us, which is based on, so we've watched 2 fictionalised dramas of real life crimes that were dealt with incorrectly. So it's based on the Central Park 5 case, where 5 young black and brown men were arrested in the late 80s, early 90s for the rape of a white woman in Central Park, and it was completely just an awful case. They should never have been arrested for it, and it's a dramatisation of that, and of them being vindicated when it's found out that they weren't involved, and they're all innocent. It's really well done, again quite bleak, particularly when you get towards the last episodes, because you follow the trial when they're all really young, sort of 16 years old, and then you follow each of them through their prison time and then their release. And one of them was in prison for 13 years, and he was the only one sent to an adult prison. And the episode that follows his story, which is a really long episode, is brutal. It's difficult to watch, and he is phenomenal in it. Again, I'll put his name here. As an actor, he was absolutely amazing. So yeah, I really recommend that as well. Out of the 2, I think I preferred When They See Us, but they're both really good and worth watching. So yeah, that's what we've binged lately. I've been rewatching Harry Potter, and yeah, I think we're going to try and watch some more documentaries this week, because watching those 2 sort of fictionalised non-fiction things made us want to get back into watching documentaries. So I also thought I'd just mention some treats I'd got. So I picked up this hot chocolate. I love this bloody time of year. I've already got myself loads of pumpkin spice candles and drinks and rust coloured cloves. So this is winter warming spiced hot chocolate. Sounds delicious, so does that. And I also picked up, I thought I'd mention these in case any of you are vegan and you want to know about any goodies, because I'm really lucky. I live in Norwich and we have quite a few vegan shops, and there's one that's quite near me, and I go in it all the time, to the point where she recognises me whenever I go, which is probably quite embarrassing because I just go in to buy sweets and chocolate like a child, but whatever. These are called Golden Crunch. I'm sure you can find these online, they're not just going to be sold in shops, and they're basically a vegan crunchy, and they're absolutely amazing. Someone told me about it and they were like, honestly, they are just phenomenal, and I was like, oh, a lot of these mock bars aren't as good. It's brilliant. I highly recommend, and it's really big as well, so I love that. And then I picked it up, and I've not tried this yet. This is a Rizzo, I think, and these are sort of pretend toffee crisps. It's my phone, sorry. One of my friends is thinking of rehoming a puppy at the moment, and so she's gone to see them today. So that could be what that's about. Yeah, so these are pretend toffee crisps. I don't know if you have them in they're probably not in every country, but anyway. So I'm going to try this. Very excited. So that is my treats, and I've been buying myself sweets just all the time. I have this little pot of sweets at the moment, and I keep refilling it, and yeah, just loving it really. So I thought I would show you a couple of other books that I'm thinking I'll be reading soon, just to wrap this up really. So one of them is also a new to me book, and this was kindly sent to me from the publishers, and this is How It Was by Janet Ellis. So I really enjoyed her debut novel, The Butcher's Hook, and I actually prefer the sound of this to The Butcher's Hook, so I'm hoping that I could enjoy this one even more. So this is set in the 70s in the suburbs in England, and I think it sounds brilliant. It's about a mother. It says she sits by the hospital bed of her dying husband, and then she thinks about, she's haunted by these memories from almost 40 years ago. And it says that she reads her daughter's diary and it has devastating consequences. So I think this is going to be quite dark and twisted, and I don't really have any idea how it's going to go, but I'm really excited to get to this one. And I read the first couple of pages when I was thinking about picking up that or The Dutch House, and it's just so readable. So I'm hoping that could be a really page turner. And the last one isn't a new book. I picked this up quite a few months ago now, but I picked it up in the summer and knew I wanted to wait until the autumn to read it, and now the autumn has got here and I love it. So this is Wakenhyrst by Michelle Paver, and this is a sort of gothic haunted house type story. My cat's moving. And this is set in Suffolk in a, in Edwardian Suffolk, in a manor house in the Fens, and it follows a little girl called Maud. I love that name. And like horrible things start to happen, and it says she must survive a world haunted by witchcraft, the age-old legends of her beloved Fen, and the even more nightmarish demons of her father's past. Sounds so good. So yeah, really looking forward to that one too. So yeah, that is what I've got on the go, and I've been re-listening to the Harry Potter books on audio. I'm right at the end of the Chamber of Secrets, and then I think I'm going to pause to listen to, is it called Imaginary Friend by, oh my god, Stephen Chbosky. I've never read The Perks of Being a Wallflower, and I don't know how I missed it when I was a teenager, but I did, and I heard a couple of people mention this. I was like, that sounds quite good. And then I went and had a little listen to the audiobook narrator's voice. I just found her voice really nice, like really relaxing, and I'll probably try and start that tomorrow. And so yeah, I'm really hoping to enjoy that, because it'll be cool to have a really long audiobook that's a little bit spooky to listen to in October. So yeah, this is probably really long, but that's all the stuff I wanted to sort of just generally chat to you guys about. I am thinking that I'm going to do a August and September reading wrap up. I think I read 10 books across the 2 months, and I wouldn't really bother, but I actually really loved some of them. Some of my favourite reads of the year were in those 2 months, so I really want to spend the time talking about them. So I'll probably try and put that up next weekend or something. And also I am going to try and post more on Instagram. Yeah, I'm really rubbish on Instagram. I've probably done like 30 posts in total, which is really bad. But I love this time of year on Instagram. I love when people put all the photos that are really autumnal. It makes me feel really happy and cosy and inspired. And I also have been really appreciating Instagram recently, because I've been following so many people who are renovating their houses, particularly people who are renovating like small terraces. And it's just given me loads of ideas, and I feel like I'd like to do that myself, because I've struggled to find people who have like really small Victorian terraces. Whenever I put in like Victorian, or when I put in like terraced house kitchen, they're always massive, like big terrace houses in London or something. And whenever I find someone who has a really little one, I'm like, oh yeah, I can actually get some ideas. So yeah, I feel like maybe I'd like to follow the process of us doing the house on my Instagram, and also just use it more for bookish stuff. So yeah, so feel free to go have a look over there and like try and push me to actually use it, because I really would like to, because I think it's such a beautiful place to be and to spend time, and I just wish I sort of got more involved and stuff. So yeah, how have you guys been? I have been watching everyone's videos. I've been rubbish at commenting, but I've still definitely been watching, and I've really been missing chatting to you guys. Just really got out of the swing of it. And the last sort of couple of weeks I've really felt like I was itching to get back. I just haven't had the chance, or the internet and things like that. But yeah, I'd really love to know how you all are, what you've been reading, and if your reading has changed at the start of the autumn. Also, I had a few people ask me if I was going to do the autumn readathon this year, and I just couldn't find the right week around the moving, and I didn't think it was fair to like announce it and then have to cancel it because I don't have internet and things like that. So I think I'm going to have to give it a pass this year. I will definitely try and do it again next year. But I think there's enough going on, everyone's loving Victober. next month's non-fiction November, and then loads of people will be doing like Christmassy things in December. So I hope that's okay, and I'm sure you'll all read really autumnal books anyway without the extra push. So yeah, let me know what your plans are for the autumn, bookish or otherwise. I'd always love to know what sort of treats, like food and drink, you love this time of year, and feel free to recommend me like any documentaries you think are worth watching. As an example, 3 of my favourite documentaries are Blackfish, The 13th and The Hunting Ground. I think they're all really amazing documentaries, so if you have any that are sort of similar to that sort of vibe, then definitely recommend them down below. Thanks ever so much for watching, and thanks for bearing with me, and I hope you enjoyed this somewhat like cobbled together video, but it was just really nice to chat to you guys again. Thanks for watching, bye!